Scholars. I hope you're doing awesome. I miss you so much. So, today we are going to, or this week actually, we're going to be working a little bit more on what we talked about last week, just thinking about different um, assumptions that we sometimes make. And remember, last week we read The Paper Bag Princess and we talked about what princess stories normally look like and what this one looked like and how that was different. So, we're going to be continuing with that theme this week. But instead of reading a fiction book, we're actually going to read an article, a nonfiction article that tells us a little bit about some assumptions that we sometimes make about colors, and then we're going to go from there and we're actually going to discuss it, what it means, and what we can learn from this article. So, before we read, I want you to think to yourself, when you think of a boy color and you think of a girl color, what do you think of? And I know some of you are going to say there is no such thing as a boy color and a girl color, and I completely appreciate that. In fact, I do agree with you. But I think about what society in general, what people would say. What's a boy color? What's a girl color? Think about it, right? And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to read this article. It's by Khadija Bilal, and we're not reading an excerpt, but reading almost the whole thing. It's called Here's Why It All Changed. Pink used to be a boy's color and blue for girls. So let's go ahead and read this together. And if you'd like, you can, of course, read it on your own. That's totally fine, too. For years, we've all lived and operated in a world where pink is traditionally seen as a feminine color, while blue is reserved for boys. We see this rigid dichotomy everywhere, from greeting cards to children's clothes. Dichotomy means like two-sided thing. When a new baby is born, parents are typically given countless blue or pink gifts in relation to the child's gender. But, as strange as it may seem to us nowadays, there was a time when blue was the feminine color and pink was more popular with males. To understand this concept, we have to go back to a time before colors were associated with gender at all. As revealed by Joe B. Paoletti, a professor at the University of Maryland and author of Pink and Blue, Telling the Boys from the Girls in America, there was once a time, well before pink and blue were used to distinguish boys and girls at all. As reported by The List and revealed by Paoletti in her book, the concept of associating individual genders with colors didn't really start happening until the mid-19th century. So what we see here is a picture of boys and girls together, and they're all wearing what color? Right. At this point, light tones and pastel colors started to be more commonly seen on children and associated with little ones. Decades later, the individual color of pink and blue started to be linked with one gender or the other, but not in the way we might expect. In fact, blue was generally worn by girls and pink was a preferred shade for boys. And here we have a picture. I know it looks like a dress, but this is back in a different time. It's a young boy around 1840, and look what he's wearing. A specific example of this can be seen in an old trade publication from 1918. According to Smithsonian, that's a museum, the generally accepted rule is pink for the boys and blue for the girls. So that was what was written in 1918. Theories to explain this have varied over the years, but it's generally believed that blue was associated with the Virgin Mary, hence its more feminine connotations, while pink was linked to red, which was seen as a strong and masculine color. These ideas were reinforced by writer and color expert Gavin during an interview with Business Insider. Gavin Evans. During an interview with Business Insider, Evans revealed that back in the late 19th century and early 20th century, it was common. That's all right. I'm just going to keep going. It was common for mothers to be told that boys should be dressed in a masculine color like pink in order to grow their into more manly individuals later in life, while girls should be dressed in a more feminine alternative like blue. Strangely enough, in the wake of World War II, the script was flipped, and pink suddenly started being marketed and sold by fashion brands and retailers as the perfect color for women, while blue was suddenly manly and masculine. Over time, the gap between these colors only increased, and the pink-blue divide started to spread to toys, accessories, cribs, strollers, and more. And here we have twins, one dressed in pink, one dressed in blue. Which one do you think is a boy and which one do you think is a girl? Babies were born probably in the last 5 or 6 years, so think of it based on that. So, now let's go back to our ELA slides, right? So, we were trying to uh, read this to find out how boys and girls colors have changed over the years. So your job now is to go back in. You can read it along with me. You can read it on your own. But I want you to find some key details and summarize this text. So I want you to read the excerpt, or you can listen to me read aloud right now, right? I want you to take notes as you read or as you listen to me reading. What do you find interesting? What surprises you? And then I want you to complete the exit ticket. This would be the exit ticket for May 11th in our classwork. Right here, you would go ahead and you are going to find 3 key details from the text. What's one key detail? What's a second key detail? And what's a third key detail? Then I want you to summarize the text. What did we learn overall from this excerpt? All right, so that's all I got for you today, scholars. I will hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow.